The Invisible Man 2020, which is important to know that this is the 2020 version because there are many other versions of The Invisible Man. But this one, particularly that we're talking about, the 2020 version, just came out last Friday and it was directed by Lee Winnell. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. Why does that matter? Because that's the same exact dude that directed Upgrade. Do you remember Upgrade?
I do. That was a really good movie.
Such a good movie. If you haven't seen Upgrade, highly recommend it. It's pretty much the rated R version of Venom.
The better version.
Yeah, the way better version. That's true. So this dude, he has a good history in horror films, which is why The Invisible Man has a really good horror feeling, I think. Technically it's sci-fi and thriller, but I think it has a really good job of doing some horror jump scares and some horror sequences, which I really liked. But basically, this movie is about they weren't married, were they?
No, just dating.
They were dating. A dating couple who has this controlling boyfriend who was abusive and tried to control her, and she runs away, escapes from him, and is trying to start a new life. But then something happens to the dude, which I'm not going to say what happens. But basically, he disappears mysteriously, and then the woman, which her name was Cecilia. But they kept calling her C, which was so confusing because I thought that was her name. She started seeing things, and things were moving and really weird. And she came to the conclusion that her boyfriend, who I'm just going to say committed suicide. I think that's in the trailer. Sorry.
Spoiler, maybe.
Is invisible. He found a way to become invisible, and now he's haunting her. And so that's the entire premise of the movie, and that just plays along as you go throughout the entire movie. Now, one thing I'll mention just as a quick history review, you should go look at the premises for there's a 1933 version of The Invisible Man. There's a 2000 version, which I have seen and was really pervy and weird, and Kevin Bacon should never do a movie like that ever again. And this one kind of sets itself apart compared to the other two. Also, there's TV shows too, so go figure.
Oh, yeah.
But this one sets itself apart, and I think it was very modern. And, you know, if this were to happen to someone actually in our world today, would you believe someone that says it?
Absolutely not.
No one would. And that was one of the frustrating things too, because it's like we see what's happening and no one believes it. So they do a really good trope at that. So we'll talk about some of the things we like and some of the things we dislike. And I don't think we're going to do a spoiler section because
we already had a spoiler.
There's already a spoiler, but I don't want you to feel bad about the movie. It was a really good movie. But on our car ride home, we just started tearing it apart, and it was a fun time. But
I think I had some really high expectations because this year has been so bad with horror movies, and the ratings were really good, and I really liked the actress.
Yeah, they get 92%.
The trailer looked great, so I think I had a lot of expectations, and I think I probably did that to myself.
That's okay.
But it was still a good movie. It was fun.
So you want to talk about some of your likes?
Yeah, a lot of my likes are going to be similar to yours, but but I did something I enjoyed was how they built tension in the movie. Like there's a period where she's not sure what's going on. You know, she thinks that her ex is dead, but there are these things happening where she's, questioning if someone's there with her. And she feels like she's going crazy, and the way that the film is shot, there are times where you're following characters out of a room, and the camera will pan to another part of the room, and you're on the edge of your seat looking to see if something's going to move, if there's any indication that this guy is there, or if it's just a random, pan to nothing. That really built a lot of tension for me, and I felt like I could relate with the main character of you're looking at everything, every little detail to try to see where this person is, if he's even there. So yeah, I thought that was really well done.
You know what that reminds me of now that you talk about it more? Paranormal Activity.
I've not.
You ever seen those?
I've seen like the sixth one that we went to see in
Okay.
theaters. Other than
Cancel.
that, so I can't relate.
Cancel.
But I believe you.
There's just a bunch of scenes where there's nothing for moments at a time, and then maybe like a bag of flour like gets tipped over, and it's like, oh, there's a demon in the corner or something like that. And I had that feeling.
I always thought that was like silly.
Yeah.
And that okay, because this one it's not that silly.
It,
I feel like it's done better.
It's definitely, yeah, a little bit. The thing that I like was if it did have the tension of I compare it to A Quiet Place, if you haven't seen that. But there's just a lot of moments where it's pure quiet, no music, no stupid horror movie violins. Although they did exist at some points, but
Right.
there were parts where it was genuinely good jump scares, good like. It just was like, okay, I shouldn't even be eating my popcorn right now because I'm making too much noise, and that had a good atmosphere, which I think goes along with your tension,
Yeah.
which you were talking about. And then one of my favorite things, I don't know why I noticed this so hardcore, but the main actress Elizabeth Moss, I can say her name, is from Handmaid's Tale, right? I've never
Handmaid's Tale.
never seen it. I've seen a lot of memes about it, so that's the same thing. And there was just scenes where like her acting was so extreme, and like she was trying to sell the part, I think, a little too much. And like her eyebrows, bro, I can't even do it. It was like The Rock's eyebrow, but like times 10, where she would get like really close
Intense.
together like this. And like I couldn't tell if she like had to take a poop or like.
And you
was,
liked this?
I was like really disgusted about stuff. No, it's just because the fact that the director was like, that's the look I need. I need the eyebrows, Elizabeth.
That's probably why they picked her.
And she gets them so tight in there, man. That's so hardcore. I can't do it. But I just like, I giggled every time she did that because I couldn't take it seriously. This is funny. Another good thing was the gore. I think they, like, it's a rated R movie and they capitalized on it. There was some slashing going on. I mean, it was, they didn't spare the blood, which I think was cool. So there were some believable scenes with that too, which I liked. A couple of dislikes. I think ours are kind of the same here too. It was slow.
Yeah.
It was slow moving. The timing of events that happened didn't make sense too. There were parts where like it's obvious that this character got so far away from another character, but in horror movie fashion, the other character just turns around and catches up right to them.
Right.
You know? It's like the Jason movies where he's walking and somehow just supernaturally teleports to the other person and other things. And then also, without spoiling things, you knew what sucked. You knew the ending was going to happen eventually. Like you knew that there were going to be some events that were going to happen to make the ending happen. And I really wish that they could have. I wish they could have spun it a different way. But I think it was still a good ending. But like you just knew it was going to happen eventually. And that kind
There
of
were some
stuff, too.
elements, maybe not so much. Like there were some details. You didn't exactly know everything, but the general, like, progression, I guess, was predictable.
True. And then you said you had.
I mean, this is what we were ranting about in the car after. There were so many loopholes, and I mean, you can't perfectly, make a movie or even a book where there aren't some loopholes or things like that. And there's movies where that's a thing, and the movie itself is so good that like I don't even care, or I don't know. There's movies where I have really low expectations, and then it surpasses them, and it's great. I think again because I had such high expectations when there were so many moments where things didn't really make sense or line up or weren't explained. They just expected you to roll with it.
Yeah.
And it felt lazy at times. Like there were things that could have been explained, or I don't know, just things that they didn't have to do that they threw in there and it didn't make sense, but they just
Went with it.
went with it. And so there were a lot of things like that. That kind of, I didn't really expect that from the ratings and the trailer.
For it to
Still
be
a
so high.
yeah, still a good movie, but yeah, I wasn't quite expecting.
Yeah.
And having had 2 installments before this or whatever, 2
At
remakes
least
or
they
original.
didn't do anything like the 2000s.
That's true. They went an original route with it, which was really
Yeah,
cool, but
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
agree.
They had a lot of ideas to work with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just disappointed by how many things just didn't make sense.
Yeah. So our rating, if you're not familiar with our channel, we typically do movie review ratings. We may do other things, but our rating scale is not like the typical A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, or whatever. We judge it by if you want to spend $10, which is a typical movie ticket, to go see the movie in theaters, or you wait until it comes on Netflix in 2 years or whatever, or maybe you spend your hard-earned $3 to rent it on whatever streaming service you have. So that's kind of the 3 that we have developed in our rating scale. And for this one, for me personally, I would say go see it in theaters. I would say it's worth the $10 to go see it in theaters because you get to feel the element of the tension, and the movie score is really good when it gets really loud, and you can't have that at home really. It's something that I think should be a movie theater experience. Are you kind of with me on that, or do you?
I think I am. I think at first I was so crushed that I was just so upset, and it just wasn't what I expected. But the more I think about it, I think the kind of movie it is, like you were saying, I think it changes if you see it in theaters versus at home.
Yeah.
There's some movies that we'll see in theaters and we see again at home, and it's completely different. And I think that would be this one too. And it wasn't horrible. It was good. It was enjoyable, especially since, again, this year for horror movies has been pretty bad so far. I was desperate to go see something, so
Yeah, it wasn't
I would
bad.
say go see it.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. So that's it for this review. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, we appreciate all 59 of you hardcore subscribers, and we hope to do at least one of these a week. We always say that, but YOLO. We'll figure that out.
We'll see if we mean it this time.
So we'll see you in the next video. See ya.